Welcome to the Seniors Rock Show, presented by the Law Office of Michael Robinson, PC, on News Radio Wham 1180. The Seniors Rock Show, a lively weekly discussion shining a bright light on aging with fun, entertainment, and important info for all adults. Join in with your comments or questions. Call or text 222-1180 or 1-800-295-1180. Now from the News Radio Wham 1180 studio in downtown Rochester, here's your host, Joanna Palvino.
Good afternoon and welcome to Seniors Rock Radio. We're glad that you're joining us today, and I say us because I mean myself and my weekly co-host, estate planning attorney and elder law attorney Mike Robinson of the Law Office of Michael Robinson. He is located in Pittsford, New York, and Mike's been practicing estate planning and elder law for a long time, and we're fortunate to have him here to answer questions and to guide our listeners and me on the show every week. This is a good time to let you know that we are live today, so you can connect with us and with Mike if you have a question anytime during the next hour. And if you, it is a talk show, I'll remind you again, and we invite you to talk too. So that's the beauty of live talk radio. The phone numbers are 585-222-1180. That's 585-222-1180 and 1-800-295-1180 if you're out of town. For those that don't want to be on the air, you can give producer Pam. She'll answer the phone. Give her your question or your info, and she'll relay it to us. We can answer on the air, or we can send you an email later. So we'd love to hear from you, and we value your opinions and your suggestions. And we also value the experts that we bring you on the show every week. Every Saturday, we're here from noon till 1. So today, our topic, and we're going to shine a bright light, as we say, on a topic that's often shrouded in secrecy. It's substance misuse among older adults. Not abuse, but misuse among older adults. If this subject makes you uncomfortable, well, you might want to hold tight and listen, because addiction knows no social or economic boundaries. And what you're about to learn could help you or a loved one someday. So we've got two experts here from the Geriatric Addictions Program at Lifespan of Greater Rochester. And you don't want to miss them. It's Ann Olin, the program manager, and Ramona Sharp, and she's the addictions counselor. They're going to be with us all in the next hour. So we've got time to answer your questions and to learn a lot about this. But first, it's time for Mike to take the mic. And Mike, you've been enjoying some summer and some family time off. So welcome back. Happy Saturday. How you doing?
Happy Saturday, Joanna. Yeah, it's good to be back. I have been away for a couple of weeks, and I did have. I was at a conference for one show, and then, as you know, my oldest son Nate was in town last weekend for a short visit. First time, Joanna, I'd seen him in 2.5 years.
Wow. Goes by
So that
quick.
was very good. But I did miss the show. I miss seeing you and Pam and talking to listeners. So it is good to be back.
Great. Well, we're glad you're back. So I think you have a different idea today. We usually answer the questions. You've been doing that directly with people, with listeners. What are you going to do with us today? What are you going to tell us?
Yeah, so Joanna, we talk a lot about the importance of estate planning here on the show, and I do enjoy answering listener questions. But I also was thinking that maybe it would be helpful to our listeners to take a step back and discuss the very basics of estate planning, because some of the estate planning concepts we talk about might not make sense without an understanding of the basics. So that's what I'm going to do over the course of the next several weeks, is review the basics of estate planning, and that way our listeners can build a foundation of understanding that will help them not only get the most out of what we discuss here on the show, but will also they can use it to apply to their own situation and make sure that their own estate plans are up to date and really do address the issues that are important to them. So here we go. And we're going to start this week with perhaps the most basic concept in estate planning, and that is, what is an estate? Well, very simply, an estate is everything you own. It's your cash in the bank, personal property, real estate, investments, including retirement accounts, jewelry, artwork, whatever you own, that is your estate. And this concept is so important to understand because so many people tune out any discussions of estate planning because they don't think they have an estate. They think only wealthy people need to be concerned with estate planning. But the truth is, we all have an estate. And now, some estates have a greater value than others, and depending on the value of our estate and depending on exactly what types of assets and property comprise our estate, different issues may need to be addressed. But each of us does have an estate.
All right. I have a question, not to interrupt you like I do all the time, but is there anything that you recall, like a strange thing or an odd thing that someone left on an estate? Because it seems like it can encompass anything.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's, estates are as varied as our people and their interests. But yeah, I mean, there's certainly been some unusual items that we've come across, things like presidential letters. One client, an antique, and I mean a very antique Fabergé egg that the family had come over from Europe. I think one of my favorites, Joanna, is I had a client who collected models. Now, remember when we were kids, you could buy models of cars or
Oh, yeah.
airplanes or Frankenstein or the
I was
mummy,
gonna say my brother had the monsters.
Yeah, exactly. So this fellow was collecting those, and he had rooms full of these boxes of models still in plastic, unopened. And this is going back 25 years, maybe 30 years. And even at that time, they were worth a few $100,000.
Wow.
So that's probably the most unusual
Wait,
one.
any
And
Barbie dolls?
I don't know. I
I
never
had to
actually
ask.
visited to look at all of them. So,
I had the
but
original bubble-headed Barbie.
oh, well, there
I
you
should have
go.
held on to it.
Yeah, yeah. So baseball cards too, some pretty
Yeah.
valuable baseball cards I've come across.
Well,
But
thanks.
we do all have an estate, and so if we care at all about who's going to handle our estate if we become incapacitated, or if we care at all about who's going to handle our estate after we die, if we care at all about protecting our estate for ourselves and as well as for our beneficiaries, if we care at all about who will receive our estate when we die and how they'll receive it. And also, Joanna, who won't receive it, because for some clients, that's more important than who will receive it. If we care about any of those things, then estate planning becomes important to us because all of those things are exactly what estate planning is all about. And so that's our starting point. Everyone has an estate, and over the next several weeks, we'll discuss some basics concerning how an estate is handled when someone is incapacitated, how an estate is handled when a person dies, and as we go along, we'll also look at some estate planning strategies to address those situations that, again, they arise both during incapacity and ultimately at death.
I like the direction. I like that you're starting, from ground zero again. I mean, we've been on the air for a couple of years, and you do address so many different questions. But I think it is time to go back to the beginning because we have new listeners, and this is a topic that I mean I've been to a couple of webinars and talked to you at length about these things and listened to you on the air. But I think that you can never understand enough how important it is not to procrastinate and to get these things done. So thank you for reminding us from the beginning why an estate plan is important, Mike.
Well, you're welcome. And as you know, that's one of the purposes of our show is to get out important information to people, legal information as well. But of course, as we're going to find out from our guest today too, just, resources available and issues that do impact our elders.
Absolutely. And today, we're going to be talking about something that impacts everyone. It doesn't matter. I mean, most adults, anyway, at some point in their life, whether it's themselves or a loved one. And we're going to be talking about misuse of substances in older adults. And we talked about that earlier, but things can happen, right? I mean, things happen when you're not planning them, and for estate planning, that's important. And I'm going to bring up real quick before I forget that there is an estate planning webinar coming up. Mike does a free 90-minute estate planning webinar. The next one is Wednesday, October or August, not October. Geez, I'm jumping right into fall.
Don't push us,
No.
Joanna.
Anyway, it's August 31st at 2 p.m. You can register. That's all you have to do. It's free. You go to register at mrobinsonlaw.com, or you can call their office at 585-374-5210. And you can learn how to safeguard your assets and keep your affairs private, out of court, save money. It's all good. Just like Mike said, estate planning is for everyone. So mrobinsonlaw.com or call 374-5210. Mike, thank you again. I mean, what are you going to talk about next week, do you think?
So next week we're going to look at that we know what an estate consists of. We're going to look at what issues are presented to a family in their estate when someone becomes incapacitated.
Interesting. Good stuff. And folks, you want an accredited estate planner like Mike to do your work. And I'm going to ask you to stay tuned now because we're going to break. But our guests today are from the Geriatric Addictions Program at Lifespan. They're joining us next on WHAM 1180. You're listening to Seniors Rock Radio. Stay right there. Our area's first direct primary care practice, Athena Direct Primary Care and Lifestyle Medicine, is open. Direct primary care is an innovative alternative to traditional corporate-style primary care, where you pay a monthly membership fee. There are no fee-for-service payments, no third-party billing. So less paperwork leaves time for extraordinary direct access to your own private physician, a members-only phone line, and unlimited, unhurried appointments. And other services are included too. That's all for one low rate. Athena Direct Primary Care is accepting new patients for a limited time only. Book your free meet and greet with Dr. Laura Petrescu today. Learn about this wonderful new practice, including membership benefits and the costs, at athenadirectcare.com. That's athenadirectcare.com. Or you can call. It's 585-662-5510. Hello, this is the Seniors Rock Radio Show, and today we're joined by two dedicated professionals from Lifespan of Greater Rochester's Geriatric Addictions Program. Ann Olin is the program manager, and Ramona Sharp is the addictions counselor. And I just heard, I first heard, first heard Ann Olin speak at a grape luncheon. And if you listen to the show, you know that's the Greater Rochester Area Partnership for the Elderly, another great organization like Lifespan. And I was really captivated by Ann's knowledge on addiction at that luncheon and her really straightforward approach to talking about it. So Anne is a certified alcohol and substance abuse counselor, and she's been with Lifespan for 10 years. Ramona, who's also with us, is a licensed master social worker, and she's been with Lifespan for 2 years. She's an addictions counselor, and Ramona is also very well versed in the complicated life of addiction and how it affects older adults and their families. Again, we're live, and Anne and Ramona are happy to answer questions today if you do have one. You don't need to use your real name if you want to call in and ask something because you know what? It might help somebody else and you. So you can remain anonymous or use your name. It doesn't matter. But please call us if you have a comment or a question. The number again is 585-222-1180 or 1-800-295-1180. Mike, you want to get us started?
Sure, and Ramona, thanks so much for joining us. Just an opening question for you. Can you give us an overview of the Geriatric Addictions Program?
Sure, Mike, and thank you and Joanna for having both of us on your show. So the Geriatric Addictions Program here at Lifespan, or also known as GAP, provides in-home counseling and case management to people 55 and over who wish to make a change or maintain a change in their substance use. GAP was started about 21 years ago. Elder Source care managers were out in the community and were encountering a lot of older adults who were misusing substances, but were either unwilling or unable to go to traditional treatment. And the other thing is, 21 years ago, there really was no treatment specifically for older adults with substance misuse issues. So Lifespan created GAP along with Carol D'Agostino. She was the founder and creator of the program. And it's really been a viable way to provide chemical dependency interventions through the community to older adults. We use the harm reduction model. So when we meet with older adults, we're asking that they would be willing to decrease their use so that they can be safe and healthy in their environment. If someone is interested in working towards abstinence, we certainly work with them as well. We are not a certified OASIS chemical dependency program, such as the traditional treatment programs are. At times, when working with individuals, we do recommend that they connect with the traditional treatment programs. We help them do that. We provide support. And then we can also continue to work with them once they have connected to be an additional support to them in their recovery.
Thank you, Ann, for explaining that. I'll ask Ramona now. I would think that people would outgrow substance abuse as you get older. And I guess I'm going to ask, do older adults misuse substances just like everybody else?
Well, as you mentioned earlier, substance misuse knows no boundaries, and it is a common assumption that it's still considered a young person's problem, and that isn't just among the general community, but you'll see that quite often among professionals and
Mm-hmm.
healthcare providers, that they don't look for and recognize that older adults use substances. And just to give you some context, by 2030, 1 in 5 Americans will be over 65. That's about 72 million people. So we are an aging population. And in that, 17% of older adults over 60 misuse some type of substance. Um, so if we break that down to just Monroe County, that equals about 29,000 older adults. And that's quite a large population,
Mm-hmm.
a lot more than people would really realize. And 1 in 10 older adults binge drink. And for that men, that means 5 or more drinks. And for women, 4 or more in a given setting. And those are general guidelines that can even be less drinks for older adults than for younger adults when we look at binge drinking. Prescription misuse doubled between 2001 and 2020. And
Wow.
that isn't just, intentional misuse, but also accidental, which we take a look at with our folks. As we get older, we take a lot more medications, and trying to get those all straightened and when to take them, what time to take them, how often to take them, can be quite confusing what to take them with. Um,
Mm-hmm. Several
so,
And
doctors
yeah,
prescribing,
exactly.
right? And I'm going to throw something in here. And I think the baby boomers, I mean, we're the ones that are coming up here, folks, and
Yeah.
lots of us. And I think that when we were younger in the 60s and 70s, we dabbled in whatever we wanted to. And it was, free time for everybody. We then got responsible, got married, had kids, did our thing. And all of a sudden now we have these aches and pains in our 60s. And some folks are going back to self medicating, right?
Yeah, I mean, that is one of the next generations that we're seeing. Those are folks between 1946 and 1964. So they're anywhere. Well, that's me, 58.
Yeah,
I'm at the
all of us.
tail
Yeah,
end of it, all the way up to 76. And this was a generation that grew up where drug use was much more culturally acceptable.
that's right.
Um, Both prescription and non-prescription, or what we call illegal drugs.
Mhm.
We kind of grew up in a generation that anything that happened to give me a quick fix, give me a pill and make it better. unlike the other generation that was really shied away from any kind of medications.
Hmm.
Um,
I remember when I was in high school, we were going to get ready to go to the prom, and I had a friend's mother say to us, my girlfriend and I, if you're nervous about it, I can give you a Valium to relax you. Can you believe that? But it's true. She had
yeah.
8 children, by the way. Anyway, let's move forward.
Oh,
And
And
just to add, the marijuana of today is not the marijuana of the
oh
60s.
yeah, for
It's
sure,
much
right?
different. Yes.
Yeah,
it
and like you had said, this generation, raised kids. They stopped their misuse or use of substances for quite a long period of time. They were working, many of them, raising kids, having their families. Now they're aging, and they remember kind of fondly those days of using substances, and they're quite surprised when they maybe take up some marijuana and realize this isn't at all what we were accustomed to before. The
Mhm.
THC content, the one that's going to alter you, is much higher.
And
All
now
that.
that it's legal, that's a whole nother path there. But before we go on to that or to another question, and I have one for you because we're talking about these different substances. I have to ask, have older adults been affected by the opioid epidemic?
So yes, and this is a topic that's dear to my heart, and we could talk on this for hours. But yes, it's, and I don't think people realize to the extent that the older adults have been exposed to the opioid epidemic. It's always thought, and it's certainly portrayed in the media, that it's the younger generation. In fact, a lot of money has gone into research and prevention and interventions for the general population, but the older adults have been greatly affected by the opioid epidemic.
And that makes sense because they're getting a lot of prescription drugs, right?
Yes, in 2009, physicians were encouraged to prescribe opioids to older adults because it does less harm than the NSAIDs do, which they use for chronic pain. So opioids were a much better alternative. And the other reason was people or the medical field believed that older adults were less susceptible to dependence or addiction. And I think we know today that no matter who takes that medication, the drug can take over the brain
Hmm.
at any time. Some people can become dependent on that medication in as little as 7 days.
Yeah, it's like Russian roulette because I mean, we're the ones, the older folks are the ones that are getting the surgeries and the replacements and the drugs that go along with it. So it makes sense. Whoops, I hear the music there. Ann and Ramona from Lifespan are going to stay with us through the news. So please do. And we're going to continue our conversation about misuse of substances in older adults right here on WHM 1180. Don't go away. When you've lost movement, flexibility, strength, or balance, traveling a long distance for physical therapy seems like a bad decision. That's why Agape Physical Therapy has a convenient location near you, east side or west side. And there's a new location in Pittsford with Aqua Therapy. Let Agape Physical Therapy and wellness professionals customize a treatment program for you to help you recover quickly. Visit agapephysicaltherapy.com and schedule your free consultation today. No doctor referral needed.
We were born before the wind, also younger than the sun. Yeah, the bonnie boat was one as we sail into the mystic.
welcome back. If you just tuned in, I'm Mike Robinson here with Joanna Pelvino on the Seniors Rock Show. And our guests today are from the Lifespan Geriatric Addictions Program, Ann Olin, Program Manager, and Ramona Sharp, Addictions Counselor. We've got more questions for them, and if you have questions, feel free to give us a call, 222-1180.
And I'm going to jump in now. We've got a couple more questions directly for you. And if there's anyone out there that has one, please call, like Mike said. And let me ask you this. At this stage of life, at the point where, you're getting older and you don't have that many responsibilities, why address the misuse? People ask all the time, why not just let them do what they need to do, have some fun? What does it matter?
Well, I'll kind of jump in with that one.
Oh,
Is the reality of drinking and substance misuse is what takes away one's quality of life. Our bodies and our brains are more, vulnerable to the effects of substances as we age. So leads us to reduced tolerance and increased risks of toxicity. And that's why we talk about misuse and not addiction, because as we age, it can be a lot less substance to create much more effect, and lead to all kinds of medical issues, cancer, liver damage, memory problems, um, high blood pressure, diabetes, osteoporosis, increased risk of stroke, heart disease,
that's all.
disrupted sleep. Yeah, it's like
Seriously.
nutritional deficits. And then the big one, risk of falls, that really increases.
Oh, yeah. That's a bad one, especially when you're older. And, it shouldn't be a big surprise, Ramona. Thank you, because I'm sitting here thinking so many things change as you get older. And, we try to be positive about all of those things. But yes, your body changes. And we talk about, you need more water when you don't feel thirsty and that kind of stuff. So it shouldn't be a shock that, misusing substances is a different effect on your body at this point in your life.
And a question too, and we were talking a little bit about this during the break. You're dealing with a population that grew up and even into adulthood during a time when there was significant stigma attached to addictions or substance dependency. Um, has that made it more challenging for you to work with this population?
Well, I mean, shame is a big component of what gets in the way of our work with folks and and families, and I think goes back to that whole component of just let them have their fun. It's really not a pleasurable thing to be drinking or using substances to excess, and they don't come out and ask for assistance because of the whole shame factor. Um,
It's also a generation where the belief is that we deal with our private problems at home. We don't
Sure.
air our dirty laundry.
Oh yeah, that's how we were brought up. It stays in
Yeah,
the house. Your family
yeah.
business is the family's business. Done. Right. Absolutely. And uh we're bringing up so many important things and so many interesting things. I'm going to ask a quick question. Do you follow the 12-step uh method like AA? Is that something that's incorporated into your program?
So we encourage the older adults that we work with to connect with the self-help programs, AA, NA. Um, Monroe County is flush with self-help programs.
Good. That's good
Uh,
news.
Yes, and sometimes that older adults come with concerns about that. They have their own idea of what a meeting is like, so there's resistance. We try to explain and give them as much information about the self-help programs. We offer to attend a meeting. We'll meet an older adult at a meeting and attend with them because sometimes there's anxiety about walking into a room filled with people.
Mhm.
Um, it's but it can be very helpful for some older adults, and if you
Sure.
can help them connect and have them establish relationships there, then they can be very successful. uh, um,
Uh it's interesting because I'm sitting here thinking there's probably people listening that say, "Oh yeah, okay, AA, I'm never going to go there. I don't want to be talking about this in front of people." What advice do you have for those folks who want to do it on their own?
Without any assistance at all, it's pretty challenging. I mean, so, as we age, especially in this time, it's people are very isolated, and not getting assistance or help with it is all just makes it more isolating and difficult in order to know how to move ahead. and figure out where to go next.
Also,
Yeah. I'm
Ramona and
sorry.
I
Go
are
ahead,
very,
Ann.
Ramona and I are very non-confrontational, non-judgmental. So we really are a support for someone's recovery. Older adults know the issues that they have, and a lot of older adults know how to make the changes. They just need some support and guidance in making those changes. And that's really what we do.
What about approaching someone who you think has a problem? Because obviously, we've heard it many times. You have to be ready to make a change yourself to make anything happen. But what if you have a loved one that you're concerned about? How would you approach this?
It's a difficult topic to talk about for sure.
Mhm.
Oftentimes, we're concerned that people will become defensive. Our recommendation is always to frame your conversation in regards to the person's health and well being and safety. Gee, I'm concerned, Mom, you don't feel well in the morning. Could it be because you're drinking a bottle of wine the night before?
Hmm.
Maybe if you drink less, you won't feel so sick.
And then see what the response is and just kind of be there for them, I guess, huh?
Yes. And, we will certainly come in and talk with people, with no commitment. They don't have to sign up for the program. How about just meeting with us and hear about our program?
That sounds good. Can you tell us, Ramona or Ann, if you just tuned in, we're talking to Ann and Ramona from the Geriatric Substance Abuse Program at Lifespan. What is the referral process if someone is interested in getting involved in the program?
Sure, it's just a call to Lifespan, and they will connect. Receptionist will connect the person to either Ramona and I. We'll take down some information, set a date to come out and meet with someone in their home and tell them about our program and see if they're interested in working with us.
Well, the number is 585-244-8400. We give you that number every week, folks, because it's important. So jot that down, save it for yourself or for your family members and loved ones. It's important. They have so many great programs. And I want to thank you, Ann and Ramona, for being here with us today and for helping our area adults and their families with so many of the challenges of growing older. And this time, substance misuse, because it is something we need to talk about. We need to put the light on it sometimes and, gather around and help folks that are needing some help. So, if you don't know Lifespan is a nonprofit organization dedicated to helping older adults take on both the challenges and the opportunities of longer life, just like Ann and Ramona are doing. So, thank you for joining us today, ladies.
Thank you for
Thank you for
having
having us.
Yes, important information and well presented. So Ann Sharp and Ramona Olin, or I'm sorry, Ann Olin and Ramona Sharp. Thanks again for being with us today.
Thank you.
Anything you'd like to say before we go?
Um, Families can also call and reach out to us. It doesn't have to just be the individual. So if families
Great
want some
point.
support, they can call.
Very
Very
good.
good. Again, the number 585-244-8400. And folks, if you would like to send us any comments or questions that we can relay to any of our guests, seniorsrockradio.com is the place to go on our contact page. I hear the music starting, so please stay right there. We're going to be right back after this break to wrap up another hour of the Seniors Rock Radio Show on News Radio Wham 1180.
Hi, Mike Robinson here. We've all seen a lot of changes this past year. One thing that hasn't changed in over 35 years at the Law Office of Michael Robinson is our commitment to protect you and your family from nursing home expense, probate, and taxes. Let us guide you and your family in creating a custom-crafted estate plan to protect your legacy. Call us at 374-5210 or visit us at
Mike Robinson here with Joanna Pelvino. And Joanna, another hour just about gone by.
Yeah. Whoa. It happened fast as usual. And I wanted, before the hour goes, I wanted to do a quick shout out of thanks to Texas barbecue owner Richard Moose Mohab. He donated and delivered enough food for about 20 hungry RPD officers last week on Monday. And that day, that was the day of the funeral. And the surprise really made the officers' day. special, and it they needed it really to be uplifted, and it really did cheer them up. So to celebrate Richard's generous gesture, if you can call right now, I mean you listeners, and you're the first caller in honor of first responders, you're going to win a $25 gift certificate to the Outlaw Potato Shack in Greece. Don't forget to visit the sit down Spencerport location of Texas Barbecue Joint too, and thank Moose while you're there for caring for the community while like he does, and for our first responders. It was a generous thing to do, Moose. Thank you so much. And if you're interested in working with him and Moose and the crew at Texas Barbecue, you can apply at bbqrochester.com. And if you're thinking about a gathering, they also cater. So call Moose, tell him thanks, and check out stuff for your parties at 585-415-6069. Thank you very much, Moose and the gang at Texas Barbecue. And what a great show we had today. Mike, I love it when we can help people. And I think that, important information, even though it's a delicate topic sometimes, right?
It is indeed, but it is an important topic, and it's just nice to see more and more. Many of the issues that we used to, as we were talking about the last segment, try to sweep under the rug, keep it at home, not be open about it, and it just made things a lot more challenging for people who were struggling with those issues. So it's nice to see some of that stigma being peeled away.
Absolutely. And I think it is so much more common now, especially after the pandemic. If there was a silver lining, everybody's talking now about getting help, getting professional help. It's okay to talk about things. It's okay that you're not feeling great. It's okay to be anxious. I mean, all these things that used to be, stiff upper lip and, just deal with it. And I think that it is more acceptable now to ask for help, which is a terrific thing that came out of that.
Absolutely. And, kind of moving away from that to something a little bit later, perhaps this week, the Perseid meteor showers, Joanna, the middle of the
Really?
week. I believe it's the 11th and 12th. But unfortunately, I think it's going to coincide with an almost full moon. But depending on when the moon is up, and that should be a good show.
Yeah, and it looks like we have a winner. And let's see, Mary Ellen of Hilton is going to be going to the Potato Shack. So congrats.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congrats. We'll send that out to you this week, Mary Ellen. And Pam's here to answer your calls. We have a few minutes left. If you have any questions or you want any direction from the information we've shared today, please feel free to call. And next week, I hope you'll come back again because we're going to have some fun again, and we're going to have a visit with Dr. Peter Hart of Heart Hearing and Balance. Heart Hearing is another family owned local company and that supports the show and that is a guest once in a while. And they have very advanced products. And wait till you see, Mike, the stuff that you can do now with hearing aids. It's crazy. Dr. Peter is always a great guest. So I'm looking forward to having him on next week. And do you know that you can like actually tap a hearing aid now and answer the phone? I mean, it's all Bluetooth related.
I learned that from you earlier today, as a matter of fact.
Hey, a peek behind the curtain. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it is amazing. I mean, technology has improved people's lives so much. It is specifically in the medical field, and I'm thinking of prosthetics as and how they've evolved. Certainly, hearing aids as well. It's really exciting to see. And I think a
Absolutely.
lot of it has to do, as we were talking about earlier, is this baby boomer generation that you and I are both a part of. We're going to move into the majority position here if we're not there already.
We are. And I had an awakening in this past week. I have some osteoarthritis that I'm dealing with. And, I've been doing really well up until now. So I can't complain. But I am working with Dr. Petrescu, and I think she's fabulous. And she's really helping me to, embrace what's going on and to make it better. And one of the biggest things that I've learned is keep moving. And it's, It's counterintuitive because when I don't feel well and I'm hurting a little bit, I don't want to move that much. But every time I do it, it actually helps. So I'm going to throw that in there. It happens to everybody.
It does. In fact, my wife Kelly and I talk about that on a regular basis about how different we feel if we haven't been moving.
Yeah, I mean, just stretching makes all the world of difference and just walking each day, even if it's for 10 minutes. And I understand that adults, here's the number, it doesn't have to be a number, but I guess about 150 minutes of exercise during the week can really make a difference in your life. And you could split that up any way you want. I mean, you could do it in 10-minute segments. So no excuses, folks. For me, I have to do it in the morning. I have to stretch, do some, you know, some of the weights, that kind of thing, or walking, even walking in the morning, because by the end of the day, I'm sorry, I just don't have the energy anymore. Do you feel that way?
Yeah, it definitely the time of day makes a difference. I know a lot of the science of exercise indicates that morning is the best time of day. But one thing I read many years ago in a book about establishing habits and rituals is to try to establish them at either the beginning of the day or the very end of the day, because
Right.
those are really the times of day that we can control. In between then, anything can happen and usually does, and plans can get thrown off course. So yes, if somebody's looking to establish a ritual, morning or evening are apparently the best times of the day to do that.
I guess that makes sense. Those are the times where we're most open, and like you said, during the day, who knows what's going to happen? Especially since most of our lives have changed over the last couple of years with the COVID pandemic, working from home, having family around, different, just even different noises during the day when you're working, as opposed to being in an office where it was quiet and you just take your break and go to the coffee machine once in a while. It's a way different world. So, folks, we talked today about things, maybe self-medicating, things that happen to folks because, they're anxious or, you're just, you're in pain. Talk to your doctor. Sometimes doctors don't ask, and that's really upsetting too. But you know what? It's okay to bring it up. And we don't like to think that just because we're older, we don't need to talk about these things. So we do. Uh, being older is an asset. Aging is an asset, and that's what we believe on this show. So embrace it, even with the pains, right, Mike? And try to get help. That's all you have to do. Ask for help. There's lots of things out there. In fact, one of our clients, Agape Physical Therapy, they have water, aqua therapy. There's all kinds of new things where you can get some assistance. So don't suffer alone, folks. Ask for help.
Absolutely. And again, we're so fortunate in the Rochester area to have so many resources and lifespan because and I bring up lifespan again because they're a great resource to find out about other resources,
That's
because we
right.
talk about these different needs and concerns, and but what can stymie people is just finding out, well, where can they get help for a particular issue. Again, especially for our older community, Lifespan is a fabulous resource for that information.
Mhm. And the Monroe County Office for the Aging also has lots of things. We have a lot of great organizations. The GRAPE organization, again, Greater Rochester Area Partnership for the Elderly. Those are professionals like us, and there's over 300 people in that group. It'll be starting up again in September. Actually, we're going to have Carol Bartlett on in a couple of weeks. She's the executive director of the group, and she'll tell you more about it. But I hope that, get involved, folks. Get out there. If you're not feeling well, sometimes just getting out will make you feel better. And coming up in the next couple of weeks, talking about the county, is the Salute to Seniors concert, and that's right down the street from me at the Ontario Beach Park. It's on Friday, August 26th, and it's rain or shine. They have music, lunch, and fun in the sun. So put that on your calendar, folks. It's Friday, August 26th. And all seniors are welcome. They're going to have like vendors. And I think last year when I stopped down there, they even had some birds of prey. I love birds, Mike. And they had, some organizations that take care of birds. And I mean, everything you could think of, from food to things to help us as we're aging. So check that out. Have you ever gone to that? The seniors concert on the shore? I think you need to go if you haven't.
I have not. That's usually a midday event, correct?
Yeah, 10 till 2. Yeah, it's kind
Yeah,
of hard if you're working. It's true.
true, true. But if you do go, keep your hamburger away from those birds of prey.
And if you sneak out of the office, I won't tell anybody.
Ah,
So yeah, so it's we have the opportunity here on the show to bring things to light that we don't always talk about. And today we talked about misuse of substances, and it's not something you like to talk about every day at the dinner table, but it is important. Folks, if you have someone you're concerned about, call Lifespan. If you're concerned about your own habits, call Lifespan. It's anonymous. You don't have to tell them anything you don't want to, but just reach out for help, and you'll be surprised how easy it is to do. We want to thank you for allowing us to be part of your week. Mike, do you have anything else to say?
thanks for listening, everyone. Have a great week. Be well and be kind.
And we hope you'll tell your friends about the show. Have a healthy day, one day at a time, so you can rock on till we meet again. Until then, say it loud, say it proud. Seniors rock.